Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Let's start with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Laidi Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, beloved Master Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Divine Mother, bless our satsang today with thy divine presence of love, of freedom, of upliftment into thy light. We are thine, be thou eternally ours. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome again, everyone. The focus today is on the blessing of Swami Kriyananda Ji's books, his writings. We'll start with a wonderful song that I hope you will enjoy, The Philosopher and the Boatman. And then we have a video clip of Swamiji from Gurgaon itself at one of the book launches of the Gita. And then we'll carry on from there. Welcome again and joy to you.
The way to perfection is narrow and steep. The bypaths are many, the pitfalls are deep. By theory alone many think to arrive. Here's one who could teach them if he were alive. A philosopher stepped into a boat, the river to cross would he. So learned was he thought no man could be half so clever as he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. To the boatman he said, good man, pray tell of the German philosophers three, Schopenhauer, Hegel und W.T. Kant, whom you deem the wisest to be. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Please excuse me, sir, the boatman said, I've not read your philosophers three. All day I'm obliged to ply these oars to support my family and me. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. In that case, my good man, your wretched life is as good as a quarter lost. Why, without the writings of those three men, not a shelf of books would I trust. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Now then tell me, good man, the scholar said, have you studied the Frenchman, Descartes? I've told you before, the other cried, I'm unschooled, hard work is my art. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Hard work, what a waste, sad, foolish man. Half your life has been thrown away. Yet still a fragment might be redeemed. Memorize one theory a day. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Of a sudden a storm with raging might did lash that river to foam. Like a drifting petal it tossed their boat till it seemed they'd never get home. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Then the boatman cried, my learned sir, our chances are growing dim. 2 questions you've put me so far this trip, now I'll ask you one, can you swim? Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. I can't swim a stroke, the philosopher cried, as he clung in despair to an oar. Then the whole of your life is lost, my friend. You'll not need those books anymore. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a mighty scholar was he. The boatman regrets to say his fare never reached the opposite bank. All that ponderous learning inside his head gave him weight, you see, and he sank. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a weighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his books, oh, such a weighty scholar was he. I'm so happy to be here with you today. It's a very special time in my life. For all my life I have had certain things that I wanted to complete, but the most important of all of them has been to try to put out a version of my Guru's commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. This only since 1995, because I expected it to be a good version before, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't as I remembered it. And with God's grace, I have been given a very good memory. And so in just a short time, it's unbelievably short, I was able to write this whole book. I began on October 7th of last year, and it was Jyotish and Devi who practically drove me to it, because they were to come on October 7th. And I thought, well, once they come, the energy will shift. And I've been sort of trying in different ways to think, how can I approach this work? And it just wasn't coming. When I had this thought, oh my God, they're coming tonight, then I just was pushed over the edge. And from then on, it's really quite amazing. Because a book like this you can't write 600 pages in 2 months. It's just not humanly possible, especially for somebody who is extremely conscious of style and clarity and doing all the work that the many writers leave it to the reader to figure out what they mean. I have always felt that my job as a writer is to make things as clear as possible for the reader. With all these considerations, to think that I could finish it, starting it on to October 7th, finish it on December 5th. That's less than 2 months. It's unbelievable, and yet it happened. And more than that, you would think, well, in that case, the editing process must have taken a long time. When I wrote my book, The Path, it took me a year to edit it. And I figured this would surely take quite a bit of time, but yet, on the other hand, as I wrote it, it seemed to flow just like a stream. And when I actually sat down to edit it, I began on a Tuesday morning and finished on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks later. Hard to believe. But as I read it, I think, it's just what I want it to be. I'm so thrilled. I cannot tell you. I feel my Guru wrote it through me.
Welcome again, everybody. So wonderful to hear Swamiji. I'd like to start by reading from this wonderful book on philosophy, meditation, postures, diet, breathing, routines, health, Raja Yoga, the art and science. This is Swamiji's words on reading the autobiography of a yogi and just books in general and the vibrations that they carry. I remember my guru asking me on the occasion of our first meeting how I had liked his autobiography. This book had changed my whole life. Because of it, I had crossed America to offer my life to his guidance as a disciple. Autobiography of a Yogi was, in fact, the greatest book I had ever read, and still is. I tried lamely to say how deeply it had affected me. That, Master remarked simply, is because it has my vibrations. A new thought to me at that time. It left me fairly bewildered. But over the years, I have realized its truth. For words convey more than ideas. They are channels of actual magnetic power by which a writer's soul can touch the souls of his readers. That especially is why it is good to read the writings of true saints. Their words convey some of the power of a direct physical blessing. This is so important. This topic of the writings of our gurus, of Master, the writings of Swamiji. And Master said about the autobiography, the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, he said, a new scripture has been born. Millions will find God through it, not just thousands, millions. I have seen it. I know. And you can see the importance of this great book, the Bhagavad Gita, and also Swamiji's books with Master's teachings, his techniques, his vibrations, his inspiration of joy, of hope, of wisdom, the teachings, the practices that are so clear and so precise, so well written, so understandable, so relatable. And these are the vibrations that you feel in the autobiography of a yogi. You feel those vibrations also in Swamiji's writings. Master, as he said just in that video clip, he felt Master writing through him. And he said that many times. We were with him. I was there when he was writing the Gita. I was there when he worked on Patanjali, Essence of Self-Realization, many of his books. He was always trying to see who else can I reach with these teachings. And we think of the autobiography of a yogi, and I was thinking about this. Now, why did Master write that book? Well, there are a variety of reasons. One is that he wanted to introduce to people everywhere. First time, really, in Dwapara Yuga, he wanted to introduce the fact that God is within and all around us, and that we can feel the presence of God. We can have that presence in our lives. He wanted to show that God was personal and impersonal, but through the wonderful stories all through the book, the stories of his life, the stories of the other great masters, he's showing that God is here and now. And I don't know if that had been done. Certainly hadn't been done in the powerful way that Master presented it. God is, you are one with Spirit, and that Spirit is within you. That's the one reason Master wrote that book, was to show people this is who and what you really are. Like that beautiful chant from joy and words from Samadhi. From joy I came, for joy I live, and sacred joy I melt. That we are a bubble of infinite consciousness and joy. And Master showed that in Autobiography of a Yogi. Maybe first time in our times that he showed this is who and what you really are. Secondly, he showed great masters. Now, who had that consciousness, who had achieved it, who were one with God, he showed their lives. The different great masters who he talks about in the book, he shows their lives, he shows their teachings, he shows the disciples. I mean, this was the first time this had come out in these times in Dwapara Yuga, I believe, because really in India, I mean, in other parts of the world, people didn't know about India. They didn't know about the masters of India. They didn't know about the great saints of India. They surely didn't know about the teachings of India. They surely didn't know about the techniques. But Master brought that out in Autobiography of a Yogi. And then he brought out the teachings, not just that it's possible for you to find God, but he has a whole chapter on how, through Kriya Yoga, that he brought techniques, how to find God. He introduces that. He doesn't give the technique, but he sure talks a lot about it. He talks about how one can find God. So this is an essential book where he introduces the possibility of finding God. He shows these people, these masters did find God, and then he shows how you yourself might be able to do that in your own life. Now, it's interesting because the sequel to Autobiography of a Yogi, Swamiji said, like a sequel at least, is the book The Path. Now, Master, after writing autobiography, I mean, he told Swamiji, Swami Kriyananda ji, your work is writing, is editing, is lecturing. And think about it, Master needed someone who would carry forth the teachings and show them, take the next step and show them this is applicable to you and your daily life. He needed someone who could write, who could bring the teachings out into the world to people everywhere, all backgrounds, all walks of life, everyone, all ages. And Swamiji, Master commissioned Swamiji to write. It wasn't that Swamiji came and said, I want to write. Master told him to write. And Swamiji wrote over 150, not over, but nearly 150 books. Now that's an incredible, I mean, he took what his guru said to do and he wrote and wrote. And I'll get into that more in a moment. But as I was saying, The New Path, the book that Swamiji wrote, as he's called it a sequel to Autobiography of a Yogi, because Master didn't talk so much about himself, who he was, what he had achieved, who his disciples were in his own book. So that was left to his disciples. So Swamiji's book on the path was out, a book on discipleship. Who was Yogananda? What were his teachings? How could you apply them? Who were his disciples? What was it like living with him? How did he train the disciples? What did they achieve? And Swamiji wrote about that. And then Swamiji wrote about the conversations he had with Paramhansa Yogananda ji. And by the way, we asked Swamiji, because in the new path, there's so many questions answered. And I asked Swamiji and many of us, I said, Swamiji and different ones, I said, it seems like you asked a lot of the questions that Master answered, and they're in this book. He said, yes, I ask questions all the time. And he gave the answers. And so then there were conversations with Yogananda. And Master told Swamiji, Walter, write that down. I haven't said that. I haven't spoken on this depth before, or something of that nature. And so we have Conversations with Yogananda, that beautiful book. We have Essence of Self-Realization. These are what Master said himself. Swamiji wrote it down, put in a book. And then we have the scriptures. Master wrote on he wrote on the teachings of Christ. Swamiji wrote Revelations of Christ. He wrote on talked on Patanjali. Swamiji wrote on that. Swamiji was with Master when he was writing on the Bhagavad Gita. And so Swamiji put out the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. He edited by his disciple, Swami Kriyanandaji. Then Swamiji went on to write about the techniques. Do you understand? Master needed a channel for someone to come, someone to write, to bring the teachings out in such a clear, understandable. There's so much wisdom. They're so relatable. They're so easy to read. And so Swamiji wrote, I just showed you the Raja Yoga book. He wrote on meditation. He wrote on Ananda Yoga. He wrote on Kriya Yoga. He wrote on all the techniques so people would understand them and know how to practice them and know that they could practice them. And then Swamiji wrote on yoga in daily life. Now, this is important because before it was only certain people could practice, you couldn't practice, it was only for meditation. But Swamiji brought out that it wasn't just for people who just for meditation, that it's applicable to every aspect of your daily life, relationships, energy, magnetism, health, and healing, and family, and business, corporate, and intuition, every aspect of your life. And so why did Swamiji write so many books? The main purpose is Master wanted him to reach people everywhere and to inspire them and give them hope, and that they too could even do a little bit of this practice to feel the presence of God. And so Swamiji wrote on attitudes, habits, every aspect of life to show that, yes, it's not just for the yogis in the Himalayas, that you have to leave everything, leave your family, leave your job, leave your spouse. No, that in this time, this teaching has come for everyone who has ears to hear. And so then, as Babaji sent Lahiri Mahashayaji back after giving him Kriya, he said, go back, teach people, show people. He had a wife, he had children, he had a job, and he came back and he showed, yes, it's for everyone. When Master Lahiri Mahashaya kept his job for 25 more years, practicing the techniques, living the teachings of yoga. And then when his guru uplifted him in the state of samadhi. And afterwards, Master came out of that state, Swami Shrikeswaraji, from his touch, gave Master that touch of samadhi. And when he came out, he said, get the broom, let's sweep the porch. He was showing him that this is for daily living, not just for living in a cave and meditating. And yes, it's for meditation, but it's also for meditators in whatever part of your life. And Master asked Swami Shrikeswaraji after some time, hard to believe, but he asked him and he said, well, when will I find God? This was after he'd been in samadhi. And Swami Shrikeswaraji said, what are you looking for? You have him, you have him. And he said, when you feel his presence, that joy in your meditation, and when you feel his inner guidance in your life, even in the details, priceless words, then you will know that you have found God. So all the way into the cosmos, and then even in the details of your life. And so what do we get from these books of Swamiji's, which is master's teachings? Let's not put it on the side. These are master's teachings. So what do we get? We get deep understanding, we get wisdom, we get practical application, we get guidance and direction in our lives, and we get hope. And let's not forget, we're getting a blessing. We're getting the blessing of Babaji, of all the great masters of master. His vibrations are in these books. And so every day, read a little bit. I brought a few just to show you. Um, this one, A Road Ahead. You can get these, some of these on Amazon. You get them through our website, Ananda Publications. Metaphysical Meditations, How to Be a Channel, Stories of Yogananda Ji's Youth, Money Magnetism, Affirmations for Self-Healing, Priceless Whispers from Eternity, edited by Swamiji, Master's Words. This whole series, Wisdom series by Ananda, Swamiji, a biography. This one is for everyday life, awaken to super consciousness, of course, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, essence of self-realization, and finally, conversations with Yogananda. Now I'll ask Nitendra to join. We have a couple of questions.
Thank you so much, Dhyanaji, for sharing so many insights on the books. Of the books that you have shared and maybe others, Dhyanaji, the question is that if I'm a beginner on this path, then what are some of the books that will make me feel motivated to be regular in my practices?
Well, conversations with Yogananda and essence of self-realization. I just showed these. These you can open any page and find inspiration, a paragraph, something Master said. And it was interesting today. I mean, I think if you really want guidance, you can get it from the books. And I was looking for just what I read to you all on the vibrations of the books of Master and Swamiji. And I opened the Raja Yoga book and I turned one page and there it was. I was looking for that guidance and there it was. So this is another way that you can use the books. Just ask inwardly, Divine Mother, just what do I need to know? Help me, Master. Help me, Babaji. And just open a page and read something. And so one of these two books, The New Path, is really for everybody. I mean, but also for a beginner who is not sure of the path. Sometimes you read autobiography, like when I read it, it just it went over my head. But I felt the vibrations, I felt the love, I felt the sincerity. Master's picture on the cover, I felt, wow, I know him. But it wasn't like I understood all the miracles, all the yogis in the Himalayas. It went over my head. But the new path was like, okay, he's like me. He started, he didn't know anything. He didn't know about miracles. He didn't know about karma, reincarnation, anything. But he just got started. He's just a regular person, is what I said. He wasn't so much a regular person. But I could follow him. I could follow when he met Yogananda. I could follow how Master blessed. I could follow his first days of a neophyte, and on and on and on when he met his guru. And so that book I would recommend to people who are just starting out as well.
Thank you so much, Dhyanaji. The next question, Dhyanaji, is you also showed books such as the Bhagavad Gita and then you mentioned about Patanjali. So there are other books on similar subjects. So is there anything extra that we get by Swamiji's books on these otherwise more popular subjects?
Well, I think I might have answered that to a degree. There's a vibration that's ours. There's a ray. I was at the Delhi Book Fair. I've been there the past 4 days, and we have a small stall there with many of Swamiji's books. Somebody came yesterday and bought 78 books. Can you believe that? But the books emanate light. There's so much light in there in that stall, and people come in, they say, it feels peaceful in here. Oh, do you teach classes? We need to learn how to meditate. Now, what are they getting? It's not just a book. They're getting light, vibration, a blessing, grace. And they're also getting a vibration from the people who read these books. And so, like if you watch a movie, you're getting a vibration from that movie. You can't forget it. If you listen to music, you're getting a vibration from that, isn't it? You look at a painting, there's the vibration of the person who painted it. Well, it's the same with the book. There's a vibration. And so it's not just he wrote on Patanjali, he wrote on the Bhagavad Gita, whatever. There's a particular ray of light which translates to us into a deep blessing to understand for what's there for right for one to be able to be uplifted by it, to be able to meditate more deeply from it, to be able to feel the presence of God in it. So you understand, it's not just, oh, I read that. And like I was seeing people come through the booth, I was saying to someone yesterday, there are a lot of seekers, but there are not a lot of doers, So what's going to push you forward to actually take a step on the path? That's what you find. And what did Master mean by his vibration? It wasn't just, oh, I love you, you love me. It was like Shakti. Move on, do something with your life. It's in his writings, in these books. And so there's an impetus to change your life, to get up and do something. And I'm telling you, you don't find that in all the books. Besides that are out there, besides that, Swamiji is so crystal clear. How can you get more clarity? Story, example, what happened? How did it happen? You can't put the books down. And others, they're like a sleeping pill. You start reading and you just nod off. They don't engage you. And so the last point about that is Swamiji, he wrote in a way that he was relatable. You can relate. You said, oh, that's my experience. Okay. Oh, that touches my heart. Not like the philosopher and the boatman. You might think I was a philosopher with all these books, but it's not philosophy. It's what is philosophy means the love of wisdom is the love of philosophy, really. It's uplifting, it's changing, it changes your consciousness. It's not just I read books. So what? What are you getting out of it? And so what we're getting is really, I'm getting the inspiration to stay on the path. I'm getting the inspiration for guidance in my life, for this problem that I had, for that difficulty, for the health issue, for the finance difficulty. I understand what I'm saying? I'm getting inspiration to keep moving on the path. And finally, I'm getting the inspiration that, hey, I can find God like these great masters. They're not putting me down saying, forget it, 1 billion lifetimes for you. Master said, now, seek him now. Eventually, why not now? So what are you gaining? Everything. Each one is like gold. And behooves us to pick at least one of them up every day and read something out of it and take it into your daily life. It's deep philosophy that's made practical. Wow. You don't find that in most books, I would say.
Thank you, Dhanaji. Just one last quick question. So, what's the best way to get more from Swamiji's books, and like what pace should we read them?
Don't gobble them. would say. Some people just, well, I read that, I read that, I read that. But nothing has stayed with them. Like I think it was how Swami Sri Teswaraji's teacher taught Gita, and at some, as in the autobiography, he says, "Oh, I've understood this." No, you haven't understood it. And then they'd meditate for an hour on it. And then he'd say, maybe you've understood it now. Oh, they meditate another hour. So don't gobble, just really try to bring it in. For me, I like to read short amounts and absorb them. And when you have more time, you can read longer amounts and absorb them. But in a busy life, there's too much going on. And so just keep the vibration going in you every day. Like I've been in Whispers from Eternity, there's the poem Samadhi. I've been working with that for the past 3 weeks, just different paragraphs of it. Just this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is my reality. This is where I'm headed. You understand? Rather than, vanish the veils of light and shade, blah, blah, blah. I memorized it. Well, what did it do for you? And so it needs to invigorate your consciousness. You need to shoot out of that little consciousness into your expanded consciousness. The cosmic sea, I watch the little ego floating in me. And so read something that you take into your consciousness and let it change you for that day and change you forever. That's why we read. Why do you read a book otherwise? To say you read it? No, absorb it. And then you know what? You become those words, you become that book. You understand? I want those words to be who and what I am. If you take that from somebody else, that's a different vibration. Take it from the masters, then you become that. God bless you all. And you're going to share with us now?
Yes, Tanaji.
So this is a list of, I believe it's all of Swamiji's writings as we close.